You know how our minds are incredibly powerful, especially when you see like the placebo effect where someone is ill and they, or not ill, and they're given the same medication and the same results come about because the mind can convince us of so many things and we get programmed into thinking a certain way. So, what about with when you constantly hear the words, it's hereditary, it's hereditary? You have to get this because it's hereditary. Even as a child, if you're sitting around a dining table and you're listening to the adults and they're talking about Uncle Bill who died of a heart attack and Uncle Bob who died of a heart attack, and then someone might say, well, I'm probably going to have a heart attack when I'm that age as well because it's in the genes, it's hereditary. If you're a child sitting around the table and listening to conversations like that, is that not instilling into that child's belief system that that has to happen to them as well? And even when you go to the doctor, and the first thing the doctor will say when he's if you're new to them, they'll ask you, is there any history in your family of diabetes or heart disease or cancers? Or they so again, it's instilled in you that if the genes in your family have got some malfunction or they're not working properly, then you have to have it as well. Doesn't matter where you turn, it's still instilled in you. So are we then, if we constantly hear that, are we then in a space of believing, well, it has to happen to me? Because I know my mum had multiple sclerosis and I was only 10 years of age when she was first diagnosed. So I said to her, if you've got multiple sclerosis, does that mean I'm going to get it? And she said to me, no, whatever happens to me in this lifetime is my journey and not yours. So you will never get this. So in my mind, from the age of 10, it was instilled in me that I could never get that disease. So have I convinced myself? I mean, I might be carrying a gene. My mum, they're still not real sure what causes multiple sclerosis. But if my mum had a gene that created that, that gene may be in me. But have I not triggered it to respond because I don't believe that I'm going to get it? I've seen people that are thoroughly convinced that they're going to get sick because maybe it did happen once in the past. Maybe they went on holiday once and they got sick and it ruined their holiday. And from then on, there is something in that programming in that mind thinks every time I go on a holiday now, I'm going to get sick. So I'll go to the doctor first and get everything checked out before I go, just in case. See how powerful the mind is? So we say about people being programmed and people being brainwashed from watching things on telly and from watch stories that we listen to growing up and society telling us certain things. So is the actual words, it's hereditary, not the same thing? Is that a form of brainwashing? It's just because everyone in your family has it. If you look at the science of the actual genes, it can skip generations. You know, a gene that carries a certain quality that can cause a disease in the body can skip generations or can skip certain people. So why convince them? Why convince people from an early age that they're going to get it because it's in the family genes? Is that not a mind control of some sort? And are we doing it to our own children? Are we doing it to our own kids by having discussions around them saying, well, you know, if your grandfather had diabetes and your father had diabetes, and you're going to get diabetes. But it could skip a generation. I mean, you can also get it. But I know the mind is incredibly powerful. And look at the people that have managed to heal their bodies. They've managed to heal their cells and repaired their cells. Have they then cut out that gene to be passed on to the next person? Are they the ones that are doing the healing? I remember reading I love near-death experience stories, and I was reading one person, he said when he had died out of his body, he saw all the cells in his body. He saw every little cell in his body had a memory. Every tiny little cell held a memory. And he said, and they were happy. They were like happy little cells. So, you know, there is so much. If we could just keep talking to the cells in our body and keep telling ourselves that they're happy and they're doing good. And we love the cells. We love all these little cells in our body because they give us the chance to live. If we talk to them nicely, when you talk to a plant, the theory, you talk to plants and they say they flourish when you talk to a plant rather than just neglecting it. Why don't we talk to our cells in our body like that? My cells, you're doing an amazing job. You're keeping me alive. I feel healthy. Thank you. I don't know. I just think it's a really good something to be more conscious about, especially when we continually use that word. It's hereditary. It's hereditary. Is that a form of programming? Something to think about.